Welcome to the podcast Friday Feels, brought to you by the Office of Counseling and Wellness at Berkeley College. I'm your host and personal counselor, Sarah Nickerson. Join our journey with Berkeley students as they navigate the challenges of the current pandemic with strength, creativity, and wisdom. New episodes released every Friday. Thanks for listening. So hello and welcome to Friday Feels. We're so glad to have you here today. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So usually what we do is we start off the podcast by just having the student tell us a little bit about themselves, your name, what you're studying, whatever you'd like to share.
All right. So my name is Liali Mustafa. I'm 20 years old. I'm a student at the Berkeley College Woodland Park campus, and I'm in my 6th semester, and I am studying marketing communications.
Okay.
I'm also an honors student, so I'm a part of the honors program at Berkeley.
Nice.
And I am doing research on a social justice issue, humanitarian issues, on the Palestinian-Israeli conflict's effects on children's mental health, specifically Palestinian children, and how it affects them growing up into their adulthood. So I'm pretty passionate about human rights and, just finding justice for all people.
Yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like it's something that you, you're studying something that you feel like you're actually going to use and work with, which is not always the case for people who are in college.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. Okay, so fill me in a little bit about what the pandemic has been like for you. You can talk about that if you want to talk about the social justice issues that are occurring right now in the U.S. that have been occurring for many, many years. Whatever you feel like you want to talk about is great.
All right, cool. So the pandemic has been definitely interesting. I would say life-changing. I'm pretty sure everyone has said that 2020 was going to be their year and
Right.
they were going to get their lives together, and all of a sudden come March and we're kicked out of campus, everything is closed and complete shutdown, everything is just gone. Been definitely interesting, I would say, just to test my patience, um, all that. School has been kind of, difficult transitioning, I would say. Like the workload just got, I feel like, a little bit more heavier towards the beginning, but
Yeah.
as the semester ended, it wasn't bad. Just kind of got used to it.
Okay.
So it's not something I would like to continue in the fall. I'm pretty sure we're all on the
No.
same page.
Yeah.
But, just trying to stay sane, keep the mental health in check, which is very important to me. I'm a very strong advocate for mental health and, just keeping a good, clear mind all the time. Just trying to do exercises and take walks and spend some time with my family, even though I know a lot of people are like, I'm sick and tired of my family.
Yeah.
Miss my life, miss my school friends. Of course, we all do. But, just trying to live each day, day by day, and take it slow, I feel like is the best. That's how it's been going for me.
Yeah.
I've been home for 4 months.
I know. It's
Yesterday was
crazy.
the first time that I actually went out. And I'm going to tell you that I was kind of nervous, not going to lie. A few stores by my house opened up and I went out with my family, and I don't know, just it felt so weird. And I feel like this is going to be a new way of life that everyone's going to have to be accustomed to, only because we kind of, I want to say, lost some of our social skills
Oh, yeah,
in
for
a way.
sure.
Yeah, definitely pretty nervous. You could tell the people around me were also nervous. I was in a department store and just shopping around looking, and nobody wanted to go into the same aisle as
Yeah.
someone else. And, the whole thing is pretty nerve wracking, I would say. But hopefully slowly we kind of ease our way back into society and gain our social skills that we used to have back.
Yeah, for sure. I know that you said that mental health is really important to you and advocating for that. And you said you do some exercising and different things. Have you noticed any shift in your mental health with the pandemic or with, what has been happening in the news? What has that been like for you?
Oh yeah, definitely there has been a shift in my mental health, I could say for sure.
Mm.
I always try to keep a clear mind and, do breathing exercises. I am pretty much I'm a fairly anxious person, I would say.
Yeah.
So, I try to just keep myself together and composed. But I feel now, especially with the pandemic, being home has hindered a lot of people's ability to function as normal human beings, I would say, because a lot of people, they don't have the motivation that they have anymore. Whether it's for school, I've seen classmates that are struggling in their classes all of a sudden that were 4.0 students, and now they're kind of slipping down because, online learning is hindering their ability, again, to just do regular things. And to know
Yeah.
that people are out and dying, it sucks, obviously, and just
Yeah.
in lighter terms, it's not a good thing. And a lot of people, in regards to everything that's happening in the news and social justice and the Black Lives Matter movement, I feel like in a way it's good that
Yeah.
we're home during this pandemic to see this, so people
Mm.
are open to this, that they're exposed to it, to know what's going on in the world. It's very important because people are out and work, school, sports, whatever, and everyone's working at their same own pace. But now I feel like everyone's living the same life. We're
Yeah.
all stuck at home, just trying to take advantage of what's being opened right now as the state is slowly like reopening.
Yeah.
But being home, I would say, does take a toll on people's mental health, because when
Mm.
you're home, everyone wants to do what? Sit on social media. There's Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, all that. And everyone's
Yeah.
sitting down and they're looking at the news. The same thing that what happened with the George Floyd case.
Mm.
Instantly, so many people knew about it. Usually stuff like this takes a while to surface on the internet, which is very
Right.
sad and very
I know.
disappointing.
Mm.
So, to see this and to see everyone get together and protest and, sign petitions and do what they can from home, it's important. I feel like
Yeah.
the pandemic did us this favor, and
Mm.
just so we can all come together as human beings and fight for what's right and fight against the injustice. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like there was recently, I've seen on social media a few days ago, actually, a case that happened in August 2019 resurfaced a few
Yeah.
days ago about
Yeah.
Elijah McClain.
I know.
Yeah,
That one, like, I mean, they're all very devastating and tragic.
very sad.
But this one was, yeah, it was particularly, I was deeply grieved.
Yeah, honestly, like I saw it and I saw the audio recording of it, and
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, like, I cried. I was
Yeah.
super upset, and his last words were like around the lines of, "I'm an introvert. I'm different.
I
I'm
know.
so sorry. I don't have a gun. I don't do that stuff. All I'm trying
Yeah.
to do is become better."
Yeah.
And he even, the sad part is that the three cops that were trying to restrain him, he was telling them, he was like, "You're all beautiful and I love you. Please
I
try to
know.
forgive me. I'm sorry." And
Yeah.
he was injected with
The ketamine.
yeah, with the ketamine, and he died a few days later in the hospital. And it's so sad to see that
Yeah.
someone reported him as a suspicious character walking around with the mask. Like,
I
he
know.
obviously has a condition. He had the
Yeah.
mask on for a reason, and it was taken out of context. And he was just trying to pause his music so he can
Yeah.
listen to what they were saying, and it escalated in a way that shouldn't have happened. And I feel
Yeah.
like this is why everyone is fighting for the police reform, to get better training for police.
Mm.
People are saying to defund the police, and I agree. Defund the police doesn't mean to abolish the police, doesn't
Right.
mean that we're going to have a free for all, no law. It's
Right.
not what it means. Defund the police to like reallocate funds and like municipal areas, to, would you rather
Yeah.
have a cop come deal with a like a mental health
Right.
issue,
Right.
or a mental health advisor who's trained and has the
Right.
proper education to do this?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like that's very important, and we need to continue to fight for that as society, especially the
Mm.
younger generation. I can't stress it enough
Yeah.
that you do what you can at home. You start at home. You educate your family, your friends,
Mm.
yourself. Even starting with yourself is the most important,
Absolutely.
to just bring stuff out there. And there's so many bad things that are happening in the world right now, whether it's
Yeah.
you know what's happening with police brutality and all this. And
Mhm.
we have the election over our heads, and then there's problems in other countries around the world, like Yemen. There's
Yeah.
they're having like a famine, and they don't have the humanitarian aid to help them. People are
Right.
dying,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. It's so important to just stay in touch with the world and stay in touch with the news as much as you can.
Mm.
I have all these news apps on my phone, and thank you, Apple Watch. And they
That's awesome.
yeah, they the news apps, they give me like the 411, like what's up, like what's going on. So I'm always in tune with it. I'm always doing my research, especially as an honor student. I would say they kind of stress the importance of the research. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to ask you, like, are you noticing, does any of your research, translate over to what's happening with the Black Lives movement and the issue of race inequality in our country? Or do you see any sort of parallels there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my topic is on the Palestinian Israeli conflict, which, if anyone was to do some research on it, just a quick background, it's the Palestinian people, the Arab people, have been under occupation for about 70 years by the
Mm,
Israeli government. And, they're they're facing this inequality every day. They have to
mm,
go through checkpoints, and Palestinian people are being killed by Israeli, Defense Force soldiers for
mm.
no reason. Just a few days ago, a young man was on his way to his sister's wedding, and the cops just decided to shoot him.
Ugh,
So, and it's sad.
wow.
He was on his way to his sister's wedding to go pick up his sister from the hair salon, I believe, if I'm correct.
Wow.
He got
Wow.
stopped at the checkpoint, and he was seen as a threat. And they pinned him down and they shot him, and they just left him there to bleed out for an hour without letting any emergency vehicles come in and get him. No one was allowed to leave the checkpoint or go out, and they just left him there. So
Mm,
that's an abuse of power, and I see that in the
yeah,
police system in the United States.
sure.
So when I'm looking at the situation over there and comparing it to the one over here, I'm like, this is so sad. Like, why is this still happening?
Mm, yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
all about raising awareness for everyone, honestly.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then I know you said that you were specifically studying mental health in children
Yeah.
that are over, abroad, and what have you kind of found from what they say about the conflict there and how it affects people's mental health?
So basically, the conflict, it's taking a toll on both parties, but more specifically, the increase is within the Palestinian children, and they're growing up with PTSD and
Right,
anxiety and
right.
depression, and all these other different types of issues, and it's affecting them in so many ways. Not only because of the constant war that's going on, children are being exposed early to violence and death and, war crimes. Kids are getting tear gassed, and,
Yeah,
tear gas is something that shouldn't be used. Obviously, I'm pretty
right.
sure it's illegal to use
Yeah,
as like a war tactic, and it's
right.
being used against them anyway. Children are being arrested and, detained,
Mm,
kind of just like what's happening here, and they're being abused by the police forces and the soldiers in the army from the other side, from the Israeli side, which is very sad. These are kids just as young as 7 years old, and
right, right.
they're being pinned down by soldiers with heavy artillery, and it's not right at all.
Mm,
And a lot of them are dying, especially the situation that the Palestinian territories is under. The economy is actually very poor. There's
mm,
a high rate of unemployment, and kids have to drop out of school at an early age because their schools are being ruined by the war.
wow.
So their schools are being destroyed, and they have to drop out, and they lose kind of like faith in their life, and it's so sad.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
mental health in children are being affected everywhere, especially now. We have the Black Lives Matter movement, and there's children, young Black children, and they have to sit down and they have to fear for
yeah.
their life, that their parents have to be able to give them the talk of, this is what
Mhm.
you say when the police comes up to you. You put your hands up, you say your
Yeah,
name, your age,
yeah.
where you're going, so that you know that you're in the clear, so nothing could be held against you.
Mm,
And I feel like that's not a conversation that I had when I was a kid.
right.
You know,
Yeah,
um, and it's sad. It's sad that these kids so young, have to have these conversations with their parents.
right.
But now for us, I feel like it's important that we have these conversations with our family and our friends,
Mm,
because this
mm,
is an uncomfortable topic. Nobody wants to talk about death or police brutality or anything that's really happening. That's kind of like, this is gruesome. Like, this isn't good.
right.
So, you have to be able to have these conversations with other people, and, not really to attack their views, because no matter what you talk about, not everybody's going to agree with you in this life. It's all
Sure.
about challenging other people, and, why do you think that way? What's causing you to not lean towards the other side of this, conversation? So it's
Yeah, yeah.
important to have these conversations. It's important to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I've said that a few times already, and I can't stress that enough, that
Mm,
we have to adjust, that this is sad. This shouldn't be our reality, like, at all.
yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
it's what we have to do as a society. We have to come together to fight this. And there's so many different ways to do it. There's petitions, there's protests that are still going on. Just because the news stopped broadcasting the Black Lives Matter movement does not mean Black lives do not matter anymore.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, Black lives will always matter. This is what's important now. They've been facing so many years of injustice. We need to come together, and I can't stress that enough. I don't know how many times I could say it. And
Mm,
there's people that, I'm pretty sure, if you've heard the saying, people are like, but all lives matter.
yeah.
you know of course all lives do matter, but this is what's important right now. You can't take that away
Yeah.
from this movement. This is so important.
Yeah.
It's like going to a birthday party and saying, oh, but I have a birthday too. What about my birthday?
Right.
Well, it's not your birthday.
Yeah.
So you have to sit down and take a break. So
Yeah.
it's important that people know and people are aware, and I can't stress it enough, again, to educate
Yeah.
yourself and others around you. Just because the media stopped talking about it doesn't mean that you should stop talking about it and give
Right.
up on it.
Yeah. I know, I heard one person I remember reading the way they described it is like, if your house was on fire, like you want to go up and be like, but I have a house too.
Yeah,
And be like,
exactly.
well, this house is on fire. And so we need to do everything we can to put the fire out and make sure their lives are saved.
Yeah,
And it is so important that we, like you said, continue the educational work, continue the, interpersonal work, like looking at, particularly within the white community, our own biases and the ways that we have the privilege to be able to look away and to not do that. And there's such an important piece of understanding others' stories. And I know something I often see a lot of people in the white community do is they'll like you said, like they'll be like, well, like I signed this petition or I donated this money, and they want it to kind of be like a once and done, like, see, like I did it. And that's not contributing to
the cause.
systematic change. That's just sort of like putting a like band-aid over a wound, but not really cleaning it out and making sure that it's healing properly.
Exactly. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's not a one time and done thing. It's not going to go away. This has been around for years. It's just, I feel like now people are fed up.
Yeah.
And, this should have happened years ago, honestly. But now, just again, tying back to the pandemic, I feel like everyone is way more aware of what's going on, in all
Mhm.
aspects of what's happening in this country, what's happening in other countries, in our society. So, there was, I've seen protests happening in Germany for the Black Lives Matter, in
Yeah.
France, and I'm Palestinian also, and there was protests over in Palestine. So to see that, I'm like, wow, like, it's so good that people other than the people that are living in our country are aware of what's happening. But at the same time, I feel like it's sad that other people
Mhm.
see how bad our justice system is and
Yeah.
how corrupt it is, that this is still happening, and
Yeah.
change needs to be done, reform, starting small, starting in your community, starting with your local police department. So
Mhm.
all this other stuff, start local, start small, fix what you can, fix what's in reach of you, just
Yeah.
educate, educate, educate.
Yeah. What do you feel like has been for you, the most meaningful thing that you've been doing to contribute to the Black Lives Movement?
Oh, definitely. I would say I've been to a protest. Yeah, I live in Wayne, so the few students from Wayne Valley High School organized the protest a few weeks ago. So I did participate in the protest, social distancing, all that. But I have been actively, you sign the petitions. People say the petitions don't work, but trust me, they
Mm.
do work.
Yeah.
There have been, a few changes in a few cases already. So,
Right.
more cases are resurfacing and petitions are coming up, and they help. They raise awareness. So, I have I can't even tell you how many that I've signed already. I've signed
Right.
a whole bunch. I donate. And the best thing to do, if you don't have the funds to donate, I know not a lot of people have the money to donate now to certain, charities and stuff, but just raise awareness. There's pictures, there's
Yeah.
news articles, screenshot them, post them on your story,
Yeah.
speak to people. And
Mhm.
I feel like that makes a difference. I'm speaking about this right now. I spoke about it a few weeks ago on the
Yeah.
town hall panel,
Yep.
and just speak about it, because the more people that hear about it, they're going to be like, oh wow, I have no idea, that this was happening, and all that. So it's good to outreach, definitely, I would say,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
the most important thing that I've been doing. Just reaching out to others, posting about it on my platforms, and continuing to raise awareness for all people. So I feel like it's
Yeah.
important,
Yeah,
because
for sure.
as a minority, I'm Arab, I'm Muslim, and I'm a
Mhm.
girl. So, I really don't have the upper hand in this society.
Yeah.
So it's important for me. I feel the need to always, be there for other minorities, to stick together,
Mhm.
to fight, to raise awareness for injustice, because,
Yeah.
it's not right at all. And it shouldn't be
Yeah.
happening.
What do you feel like has there been anything that's given you a sense of hope, in the midst of all of the chaos and the strife that's happening? Anything that's given you, even, like, the smallest amount of, like, hope or promise for how to move forward?
How to move forward. But things that are giving me hope, I would say that there has been a few cases I've seen that that have been taken to court. I think into a grand jury, if I am not mistaken. The
Yes.
case
Yeah.
of Ahmed Arbery has
Yeah.
been taken
They
to the
all
grand
got
jury. Yeah,
indicted.
they did, on 9 different charges. So
Yep.
something like that is good. Continue to sign the petitions. It's not over. Keep fighting for it. Fight against the injustice. Keep going. Stuff like that. When I see those cases pull through,
Yeah.
step by step. Small progress is still progress, no matter what situation you're in, whether it's in regards to your mental health, or regards to social injustice, or school, or anything. Small progress is still progress. Anything that
Mm.
you make can contribute to something even bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. And what would you say, like, if you had to give one source of, like, a resource or a source of encouragement or support, like, what would you say to other Berkeley students?
What I would say to other Berkeley students are to, a lot of us are young. We're, either you're fresh out of high school and you're a freshman, or you're 21, 22, or no matter how old you are, about to graduate in your last few semesters. We're all on social media, whether you're on Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever.
Mm.
LinkedIn, people are posting on LinkedIn, which is supposed to be a quote unquote professional platform. But,
Mm.
post, it's important. Use your social media, use your voice. If you have a large following, continue to use your voice, raise awareness towards the cause, for the Black Lives Matter movement, for anything that you see is a balance, like an imbalance of power. Raise awareness towards it. Don't let it just sit there, because
Yeah.
you can be the change. We're the younger generation, and
Yeah.
this is our job. Like the generations before us, I would like to say that a lot of them have an old school mentality when it comes to certain things. And, sometimes it's very hard to persuade them to do different, because they're so stuck on their old mentality.
Right.
But, we're the change. We're supposed to be the generation that's going to make the difference, no matter what it is. So
Mm.
be that change, be the agent of change. And, you know, fight for your people, fight for society, fight for what's right. It's
Yeah.
the ethical thing to do, the morally just thing to do when you see an imbalance of power, is to fight against it and make it right. So that's what
Yeah.
I would give to my fellow Berkeley students, definitely, to just push each other, educate each other, you know, talk about it in class. If the time is right, speak about it. Have a conversation with your professor, have a conversation with the classmate. It's
Mm.
not an appropriate thing to do. It does not go against the school rules to speak
Right.
your voice. It's it's there, it's free, use it.
Yeah, I love that. Your voice, it's there, it's free, use it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so important. I know this comes up a lot, but like inaction is a form of action. Like remaining silent or not speaking up or not using your voice is still siding on the side of the of the oppressor.
yeah,
And,
exactly.
and so making sure that we are um, using our voice and for white communities, using our privilege
Exactly.
and making sure that we're doing what we can to stay in the fight and to make sure that we are a source of allyship
Hmm.
for the Black community right now. And it sounds like you're doing that. I mean, I just want to thank you for everything that you're doing, both for the Black Lives Movement and also it sounds like for your home country and for children there. And I know that it sounds like your research is going to be really impactful.
Thank you.
Do you have plans for what you want to do when you graduate?
When I graduate, I have 2 semesters left, so hopefully my graduation date will, my graduation semester will be winter 2021 with my bachelor's degree. I'm working on getting an internship right now, so I'm just, hopefully trying to intern somewhere. Um, I want to get into, social media marketing. I feel like that's
Yeah.
important. Um, hopefully I would like to get into social media marketing and, kind of work the typical corporate America job. I honestly don't really have too many plans in my head, you know, um, about my plans after graduation. Hopefully I would figure something out sooner than later, but,
Oh,
you
don't
know,
worry.
I
Yeah.
would like to, pretty sure I will soon, but I would like to work, with something around mental health. I'm a big advocate for that.
Yeah.
Like I said, mental health, and also, figure out ways to work with countries abroad. That's something I'm also interested in.
Mm.
Awareness for other countries that need it, like how I said, and just something like that. Maybe if I could find, something around the business aspect of that, that
Yeah.
would be nice to put my degree to use in some type of way. But
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you'll definitely figure it out. Give yourself time, but you're forming a really wonderful foundation for yourself.
thank you.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you were on Friday Feels today. Thank you so much for your time and your voice and your passion and sharing what it is that you're fighting for and what you believe in. Um, I feel very privileged to have listened to you today, so I really want to thank you for that.
Thank you for having me. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah, good. Okay, well, I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
That's all for now. Join us next week for another episode of Friday Feels. Enjoy your weekend and stay safe. Be well.